child is born whole, and then it's parents' job to keep this wholeness. Don't try to make the child be like you. Try to be like the child. If your happiness is based on success, you have to be successful all the time to feel happy. And it is very anxious life. If your inner child is hidden, you can't play like a child. When you play like an adult.
Welcome to the new episode of the Bridging Podcast. I am here together with Özgur Bolat. So I'm going to introduce you, Özgur. I had to really funnel this. Let me just start. He was a young, driven boy, a very good student at the primary school, high school. He studied education in one of the leading universities in Turkey. Then he did his master's at the Harvard University in the US. And then he also gained a Ph.D. in education from the University of Cambridge. So what he does, he serves parents and educators on parenting and educating through his seminars and his parenting school. And he has written 4 books on parenting. One that brought a lot of attention is The Reward Trap, which is going to be published very soon in English as well. So, and this is very extra special for me because I'm also an educator. I have been practicing teaching for the past 16 years in primary school, and you are an educator, you know, an expert in parenting, but also like an education scientist. And it's extra special because it is actually a cherry on top of the cake, because we are recording this in Istanbul, where East meets West. Özgür, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting.
Yeah, thank you. It's amazing to have you here in your place. Really
Okay, yeah.
Grateful for this. So let's start with the first question. How would you define happiness and success? You have written a lot of books about it.
Okay, so I think there are 4 levels of happiness. Okay, at the top is wholeness. Okay, so when you feel whole, when you say, I am accepted for who I am, then true happiness, authentic happiness, which I call peace, comes from this wholeness. Okay, so every child is born whole, and then it's parents' job to keep this wholeness. Mm-hmm. Okay, then we can talk about it, we break it in some way or other. Mm-hmm. Okay, at the top, this is this feeling of peace, which comes from the feeling of wholeness. I am whole. And then underneath, there is creating meaning. Okay, so happiness comes from having an impact on other people, creating a meaning. Okay, so like if you are changing people's lives for better, then you are creating an impact on their lives. Then happiness comes from this, and in Turkish I call this joy. Mm-hmm. But we can call this joy. Like you lead a meaningful and joyful life, creating meaning in other people's lives. Okay.
If I would say purpose, does it equal for you joy?
I think so. Yeah, joyful life. And so this is 2 kinds of happiness we need to seek. Okay. So the other thing, of course, you never seek happiness, because when you seek something, look for something, you always look for something in an anxious way, right? Mm-hmm. When you lose your key, you look for it, you're always anxious. Am I going to find it or not find it? Then when you look for happiness, you are always in an anxious state, so you will never get it. Okay, so you never seek happiness.
What do you do then with happiness if you do not seek it?
So you go inside and you try to feel whole, and the happiness is the byproduct of that. So happiness is an indicator that your life is whole and you're creating meaning in other people's lives. This is what I call like sustainable, authentic happiness. Mm-hmm. And it is inner driven, and you feel like internally validated. Okay, so if you can't reach this state, I mean, every child is like this, but then the parents in some way or other break this wholeness. We can talk about it later. So if you don't have these 2 kinds of happiness, then what are you going to do? Then you look for external sources of happiness. And then, so I talk about fourth level, third level, and second level is happiness for those people come from having, owning, and winning. Okay?
Owning and winning.
Winning.
That's like an external happiness.
This
that
is
you are-
external validation. So, for instance, if you think that you are not whole, I mean, everyone is whole, but they don't feel that way. If you think that you don't feel whole and you are not creating meaning for like in other people's lives, then what are you gonna do? So you feel like you need to be accepted and feel happiness, and then you say, hey, if I win and if I have a lot of materials, like if I am rich, if I have success, if I have recognition, if I am famous, if I have a status, if I have a position, this is all winning and owning, right? Then they say like people will accept me. This is what I call like externally validated people. They look for validation from external sources.
Yeah.
And this is not sustainable. If your happiness at the level 2, if your happiness is based on success, you have to be successful all the time to feel happy. And it is very anxious life. So you are always anxious, you're always looking for the next success. If your happiness is based on money, you have to reach all the time, and you are always anxious that you may lose your money, and it's not sustainable. So then you can ask me like, why then people are at this stage? Because they feel like they can't go to 3 or 4, because when they were children, their parents give the message that you are not whole as you are.
How do you think parents give this message to their children?
Okay, we can talk about it, but let's talk about level 1.
Okay.
Level 1 happiness for those people who are at the level 1 happiness comes from having pleasure. Okay, so these people always look for pleasure in lives, and in a way, addiction. In a way, they are addicted to pleasures so that they can escape their inner selves. Okay, there is a hole. They think there's a hole in their wholeness, and they feel like they can't get love to fill it, and they need to escape from themselves. So they do it through pleasures. Some do it through work, sports, doing sports all the time, television, socializing, drinking, smoking, all kinds of things. So like these are 4 levels: wholeness, meaning, winning, and pleasure. Okay, then the definition of success changes depending on at what level you are. Okay, so if you're at the top, success means keeping your wholeness as it is. Okay, so you are successful in life as long as you are whole. Okay, it's the biggest success you can achieve. Like if you live your life as you are authentically, it's a huge success. Okay, for those at level 3, okay, so success means influencing others, creating a meaning. Okay, for those who are at the level 2, success means, like winning, having a lot of money, winning all the time, having a status. It's not sustainable. And success for those who are at the level 1 is like you're successful to the extent you escape from yourself. So definition of success changes depending on the level of happiness you are at. So this is how I define happiness and success.
So you initially started with like, if you are whole, if you feel internally a wholeness, then you are already happy.
You are already happy.
The side effect of it is that you are already happy. So how would you describe the feeling of being and feeling whole?
Those who feel whole, they are always in the moment. Almost always in the moment. and they don't feel the need to prove themselves to be liked or accepted. They are authentically interested in what you have to say. They don't have hidden agenda. They believe they can give love and accept love, and they feel like they don't have to do anything extra so that people can love them. They already know people love them for who they are. And for instance, if I feel whole, if you look down on me, and I think to myself, hey, she's humiliating me, but she can't decide my value. I'm already valuable, and I don't even even have the need to defend myself. I feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
And then I say, hey, why is she doing it? I must trigger some issues. And then they can focus on their own work. They don't focus on other people's issues. They don't try to elevate themselves so that they feel superior to others, or they don't take other people lower, like down, so that they can feel superior to them. They don't feel special, but they feel unique. It's very different. Special means like I am special, you are not. Unique means I am unique, you can be unique as well.
Yeah.
This is true self-esteem. And yeah, I think this is, and also they can easily depend on other people. And they know that they can enjoy their own solitude and also depend on other people. But if they don't feel whole, either they are too dependent, or they tell to themselves that, hey, I don't need them. I am strong as I am.
Maybe it's even a resistance towards, like, actually he or she needs them. But
Yeah.
it's like, no, I don't need them.
I don't need
them. It's like
them.
pushing it away.
Yeah, I'm strong. I don't need you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need your love. Like, love is for weak people. So they feel, so it's just like, those people can be very successful, but they rarely enjoy their success because they're always in an anxious state. Or they can go to the opposite pole, which is addiction. And they feel like addicted. So if you feel whole, you are always in the moment, you enjoy your conversation, you enjoy people, you enjoy being loved and loving. Yeah, so yeah.
So I also understood, like, it's not thinking of I'm whole, it's really feeling, being in the state of being whole. And we were born, all of us in the world, in
as
the
whole.
universe, as whole.
Yeah.
And, I would like to come to the question already now, like, what happens to us as children, and maybe later on as young adults and adults, that we kind of disassociate from that wholeness that we all are?
Yeah, you said something very nice. If you ask them, like, do you feel whole? And they say, oh, I didn't think about it. Because it's not in their mindset. Like, they are just who they are. They didn't think about it, okay? But sometimes those who don't feel whole, they will say the opposite. Of course I am whole. I thought about this and I'm whole. In fact, they are not, yeah. So there are many parental practices that break this wholeness. Okay. One thing is love withdrawal. Like, if you don't do this, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to be your daddy. I'm not going to be your mommy, and I will not establish eye contact. I'm not going to talk to you. Which means, if you don't do what I tell you to do, even worse, if you are not the kind of person I want you to be, then you will not get my love.
Yes.
And you will develop fake personality, okay? Fake self. Love withdrawal. Second is comparison, okay? Comparison. Hey, your brother, look at your brother, how he did his own work.
Yes.
Okay? Look, everyone ate their dinner, you didn't eat your dinner. Like, I will love you if you are like that person, okay? So comparison. The other thing is emotional abuse, okay? So I don't think people will call this abuse, but I think it's abuse. Like for instance, let's say you are 3 years old and you don't eat your food, and I tell you, look, you are not eating your food, you are making me very upset. So you are responsible
For my upsetness.
for my upsetness. Okay, in this universe, my happiness depends on your eating your food. Like it's too much burden on the child, and the child thinks, if I am responsible for my father's emotion, then who is responsible for my emotion? So they don't take responsibility for their emotion as well. So forced eating, the other thing, the child doesn't want to eat, and you force him or her to eat something. Other one is shaming, shaming and shame on you. Like you're a big girl now, I wouldn't expect you to do this, or you embarrass me. Guilt induction. Okay, so because of you, your brother is crying. The other thing is talking about your sacrifices for the child. Look, I have done everything for you, so your job is to pay back. The other thing is labeling. It's very hidden dynamic. If I label you as smart, intelligent, beautiful, handsome, you feel like, oh, I have to carry that label. I have to earn that label.
Because I get seen when I have that label. You
Yes.
Seen, I get approval.
Yes, I get approval when I perform my label. So let's say I have labeled you as beautiful, then you are like 10-year-olds. Okay, we have a project, social responsibility project. So for instance, like girls, even boys, they don't go to school, and the school calls, like, where are you? And the child says, I have a pimple, I can't come because I have lost my beauty today. Or like there's a lot of research by Gregg, like if I label you as smart or intelligent, you say like, hey, if I work hard, if I can be successful, I will lose that label. So labeling, the other thing. The other thing is reward, like which will, like my book is about how rewards harm children in the long term.
Good boy, good girl, amazing, wow, you
Yes.
get this because you've done that.
Yeah, this is praising, the same thing. And then, of course, punishment, timeout, and judgment. Judgment can be positive or negative. If it is positive, it's praising. Now I'm writing a book on praising, and criticism. Like if I criticize you, what does it mean? I want to change you. I don't accept you for who you are. And then jogging, like kidding, ridiculing, those kind of things. All these things break the wholeness.
Don't you think like in that fundament, there's actually, you see something in the child that you want to change as a parent or as an educator or as someone that is interacting with that child. You see something like, hey, but if you do this, you don't get this. Or your brother is this. Or don't you think like the fundament there is you want to change, you want to control the child?
You never want to control the child.
But I mean, isn't the fundament there that actually the people that get interacting with the child, they might intend to control the child. That's why they do all these
Yes,
actions.
of course. Yeah. So most of the parents do this to control the child, because there are like two reasons, I think. The first one is their own needs. Okay, if I feel not whole as a parent, then if I think that if I don't feel whole, I would believe no one can love me, right? So if you tell me that I love you, then I won't believe you. So I'm not lovable, you can't be loving me. So I won't believe you. And then even like if you tell me you love me, then I will lose respect for you. Because like if this girl loves me, like I am not lovable. If she loves me, it means she's not lovable either. Right? Then I lose respect for you. And then the child is born, and the parents think to themselves, "Why this kid is giving me unconditional love?
First time in my life."
Yes, I should keep that love dependent on me all the time. then unconsciously they control the child and they make the child dependent on themselves. They never let the child grow as an individual person. If the child grows as an individual person, he or she will decide, she will have their own decision, and parents are scared that they can break from them. So I have to control them. Second reason is parents control their children because they love them. Because let's say I have a fear of abandonment. Then I say, okay, like if I'm a man, I think to myself, hey, woman always abandoned. Okay. And then if you're a woman, you might think to yourself, hey, man always abandoned. Okay. Then if I have a boy, like a son, hey, my son will grow up. What will happen? She will be abandoned. I need to protect her. What will I do? I should teach him not to trust woman. And what happens? When I break his wholeness, I transfer my issue to him.
Your own fears, you actually are projecting it on him.
Yeah. So then parents break their child wholeness because they love them. So for two reasons, and they consciously or unconsciously. You know, I have a parenting school. I talked about these issues like in length, and then one mother said, now everything makes sense. I said, what do you mean? But I have a son. Oh, I always wanted to have a son. Now I know why. I said, why? Because if it is a girl, I was scared that she will go to her father. But now I wanted a son because I wanted him to be dependent on me.
To love me unconditionally.
Yes, it is much easier. It is much easier for me to control the boy. If it is a girl, it's risky. This is what the mom told me.
So, you know, about breaking the wholeness, you mentioned like, you know, parents or educators or anyone that is interacting with the child makes the child feel guilty. Like, if you do this, you won't get this, or your brother is this and that. I mean, I'm sure many listeners might now feel like, hey, but I've also gone through that. You know, me myself as a bicultural child in the Netherlands, I have heard from my mom like, oh, but what you're doing is shaming me a lot. Don't do that. But your brother, even not your brother, but your friends, the daughters of this woman, they don't do that. But why do you do that? A lot, actually, a lot of wholeness was broken back then as a child. You know, I didn't recognize anything until I became a young adult, which was luckily not addicted to things, but there were other things for sure going on. But by doing a lot of inner work, I found out about true feeling. It like, you know, oh, but that is actually, I became another person than the authentic person I actually want to be. Like, you know, I'm a very driven person, but it was all to get the attention from my parents. I came with a 9 out of 10. My dad was like, amazing, next time a 10. I came with a 10, amazing, next time a 10 plus. How far can you go? And, you know, always like with being driven, and kind of burning out because, you know, I need to just get there.
But even if you get 10 plus, then your father will say,
plus.
No, we also got 10 plus. Are you the only one? So you will never, you know.
But exactly. And, you know, initially there was a lot of like kind of blaming them. Why did they raise me up like this? They shouldn't have done that, you know. But, you know, after a while, after really being aware of it, I got myself compassion towards them. They came also from a culture with their upbringing, what they got. I don't think like even my granddad never kind of hugged my dad to say, I love you, son. I mean, that was a not done thing back then in a little village in Turkey in the 50s, 60s. But, okay, the work is done. When the parents listen now, and they're like, okay, but you know, unconsciously, undeliberately, I'm actually also doing things like that. I'm saying, hey, your sister, was your brother, or what can they do in order to kind of help their children to reach their full potential by being whole?
Okay, so I don't think they need to do anything to the child. They need to go inward and complete their wholeness. So like in my parenting school, like I have seven principles, and the first principle is raising your child means raising yourself. So having a child means the child represents your inner child. Okay, so the way you interact with your inner child, or the way you interact with your child, is representative of the way you interact with yourself. So the first thing you need to do is change the way you interact with yourself. Then, for instance, let's say play is very important for children, and I'm telling you, like in my parenting school, I tell people like play is very important. I talk about it, and then they play with their kids. After a week, some parents say, "Hey, I'm very bored." And I ask, like, why do you think people are bored of playing? What kind of people are bored? Okay, and then we discuss this, and then this is what it is. Like, you have an inner child, right? So as a child, you thought you didn't get the love you deserved. Your parents love you, of course, but they don't always have a loving relationship with you. Two different things. And then you say, hey, my inner child is broken, and I need to hide it. Okay? So playing means playing like a child. Okay, you need to be a child. So if your inner child is hidden, you can't play like a child. Then you play like an adult.
Yes.
So when you play like an adult, you get bored. So what you need to do is you go back inward yourself, and then you say like, why did I hide my inner child? So how can I take it out again? So you work on yourself, and then when you work on yourself, when you stop being too serious, when you probably you are trying too hard to protect your inner self, then when you give up this control, this wall, then your inner child is reborn. Then you can play with your child. The other thing, if you're judging your child too much, it means you're judging yourself. So you have a judgmental outlook on life. So you ask yourself, like, why am I too judgmental? So judgment usually comes from not being able to relate to other people. Like it's a part of like attachment issue. Then you work on yourself. So when you resolve your attachment issues, then you attach with your child. So we don't do anything to the child. We work on ourselves, and the end result is a better relationship with the child. Then I don't need to control him or her. Then I come from then I change from judgment to understanding. If I have a problem with my child, rather than teaching him or her the correct way, rather than trying to my wisdom to the child, I try to understand what this child is thinking, what he or she needs, how can I help? So this is all about ourselves.
I'd like to give an example in a practical way. Like, for example, you're playing with your child, you're doing jumping rope, right? And then, and there are a lot of people around because you're in a festival. You might think as an adult, like, oh my God, am I going to jump now? Everyone is looking at me. I might be judged as this big woman jumping. But like, if you want to get out your inner child, you might just think, I don't care. I'm just going to be there and jump with my son or daughter.
I would just enjoy it. Like, if your inner child is there, you don't even think. You don't even say, I don't care. Like, this idea doesn't come to mind. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so you just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, you are not in the thinking, but you are in the being mode.
Yes.
You are just really
enjoy
operating
it.
from being.
And for children, there is no failure. For children, there is only trying.
Yeah.
But later, we label that trying as failure. The child never thinks to himself, oh, I'm a failure. They just say, oh, I'm trying. So this is very important. Trying and failure, like very important to concepts.
Trying and failure. Very, very interesting. Like, actually, like your child might be even a gift for you to reopen your inner child again.
Yes, you put it perfectly well.
Yeah.
If you see your child as a gift,
Yeah.
and everything changes. I told you I have 7 principles in parenting school. Second principle is this: don't try to make the child be like you. Try to be like the child. Okay? So if you try to be like the child, your life will be very joyful, authentic. You will be very happy.
Is it like try to be like that child, or try to be like
Children.
the child in you?
The same thing.
The same thing. Okay,
I told you, like the child represents
Yeah.
your inner self.
It's really funny. Do you know voice dialogue? It's a therapy system.
I heard about it, but I am not.
I got this last Monday, and I was in different chairs, in this child chair, and the chair now who I am. And I'm also teaching part-time at primary school 3rd grade students. And what came out of it, like when I'm with the 3rd grade students, they are 8, 9 years. I'm really crazy, like really crazy person, like in a fun way. But that inner child is kind of playing with them. When we are doing like 10, 20, 30, 40, I'm just jumping with them instead of the books. And after years of working with them, I just had an aha moment after 16 years, like, that's why I keep doing this. That's why I keep doing this, because it connects me to my inner child. I don't have my own children when I'm with the kids.
Yeah.
It's I'm just curious to this actually. How would you describe your own childhood? Do you think like you grew up whole? Because the funny thing is like you are now educator, scientist. But where does this come from? You are this person that is helping.
So we are now being personal.
Yeah, we are being personal, please.
I discovered all this from my own experience. Okay, I was very successful as a student, and so I, for instance, I ranked 56th on like university entrance exam, like SAT, and I called my father. I said I ranked 56th, like out of like I don't know 1 million, and he said, okay, don't worry about it, still good. Okay, so then I ranked first. In my faculty of education, Boğaziçi University. I got the Fulbright scholarship and Turkish Education Foundation scholarship. I went to Harvard. My GPA was 4 out of 4. And I went to Cambridge and MIT. I got the Best Young Researcher Award. And then I was very successful and very happy. Okay? But later I realized, when I came back to Turkey, I realized, hey, I have to be successful all the time to be happy. I need new success. So I was looking for, like, where can I be successful? And then I realized all my happiness is based on my success. So I was at the level 2.
You mean the external?
Yeah, external validation. So what I need to go back to my wholeness and creating impact on the society, on people. And then I started this journey. Okay, parents think if their kids are very successful, makes a lot of money, they will be happy. But like it's all level 2, not sustainable. Then I realized, I have to prove myself to be accepted.
And what happened? Did you realize that?
I was anxious. Like I didn't know why I was anxious. Like I was looking for success, like all the time. Then I started my journey from external validation to internal validation. Did I reach there? It doesn't matter. But I'm on the journey. I'm aware I'm on the journey. I think this is a good thing. When I caught myself being externally validated, I remind myself. Then I switch to internal validation. How do I switch? I sat down and I wrote the impact I'm trying to create it is this, like trying to help parents and educators raise individuals, not control them, but raise them, raise children as individual inner beings. So like
individual inner beings,
yes,
whole beings.
Whole beings, yeah.
Yes.
Raising whole children.
Very nice. So individual inner whole beings. So do we really need a parenting school then? Like,
so
because if we are already whole.
If you're a whole, you don't need it. And all the information comes from your intuition. Okay? So like every parent has access to his intuition, okay? And I don't think they need any information from outside. Then if every parent has this intuition, and then why do we have a parenting school? Then parents, if they are anxious, so anxiety stops you from having an access to your intuition. Mm-hmm. So what you need to do is not learn from outside, but being whole and not being anxious, and then all the information will come from within.
So being whole, not being anxious. I mean, super easy, said, and also 2 words, being whole and not being anxious.
When you are whole, you always feel secure in this universe. Then you don't feel, you might feel anxious because of the events in your life, but you don't feel this existential anxiousness.
It's actually funny, while we're talking, you know, I'm trying to feel the words you are describing. Yeah, I could feel it. Being whole and not being anxious. Okay, so, and actually, like, you know, the parenting school, or someone, you might need someone to help you if you feel anxious or anxiety about, like, yeah, well, how am I going to deal with the children, with this is what she's doing, and I don't want that she does it, or whatever you all observe.
Yeah, do you know this exercise, self-affirmation? Like there's a lot of research in that Stanford. Mm-hmm. Like when people affirm their self, mm-hmm. they feel less anxious, which means they go into their wholeness, into their self, and they feel whole. When you feel whole, you don't feel anxious.
Yeah. Like to also demonstrate it for the listener and watch my YouTube, like, you know, it's like really like, I am beautiful, I am loving, I am kind, I am already successful, the I am words. Are you talking about that? Or
No, I never talk about that.
I'm so sorry, when you say affirmations, I was thinking like that.
No, I never talk about this.
Okay.
There is even research mm-hmm. which shows those phrases mm-hmm. are helpful to those mm-hmm. who have self-esteem, mm-hmm. not helpful to those who have low self-esteem.
Interesting.
There is research and very high quality research. I can give you the article. Self-affirmation exercise is this. You ask yourself, what is my value and why is it important to me?
What is my value and why is it important
to me? You write down. And the name of the researcher is Cohen, like from Stanford. Like there's a lot of research, and so those who affirm themselves, they feel happier, more successful, and less anxious.
So what is my value?
And why is it important?
Why is it important? So and actually,
what is your most important value? Why is it important to you?
And whatever happens, whatever anyone says to you, whatever circumstances you are, once you affirm this, what is my value? You know, it's like kind of a glass around you that it's not even touching you.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a really good one. So then we talked about wholeness. Like when you are already whole.
When you feel whole.
When you feel...
Everyone is whole, but they don't feel that way.
When you feel whole, you know intuitively how you need to educate and parent your children already. Yes. And everything what you see in your child is kind of, you are projecting something that is inside of you on your children. And the way to kind of dance with that is being a child with your child. So play a lot with your children. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So work on yourself, try to feel whole. So in order to do that, you have to find your values and live authentically, and then like meet your inner child, and then everything will come from like flow from this to your children, so you don't have to do anything extra.
I'm going to write this down. What is my value and why is it important to me?
I will send you the articles and you can read, and
Please.
it's a very like established line of research.
Thank you so much, Özgür.
No, thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate it so
Yeah.
much. Really, thank you. I hope, I'm sure that the listener and the watcher will find this very, very useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.